Welcome back to the Crypto's Key conversation. In today's video, we're going to take a look at a couple different tweet threads and articles here. Starting with this one from Watcher Guru, says, just in, Ripple has been added to the Inc. 5000 list of fastest growing private companies in America. XRP Crypto Wolf says, hashtag Ripple keeps growing and hiring employees in a bear market while other companies are laying off employees, which says a lot. And that's kind of what we've been talking about on this channel too. It's like, despite the ongoing litigation with the SEC, Ripple is still, out there chugging along, putting their boots on the ground, continuing to expand and utilize their use case with other, companies and banks, globally, setting up all these different corridors around the globe, trying to solve a real world problem, which is absolutely massive. Coming over here, this from Johnny Deaton says, we can only hope that when Patrick Henry becomes chair of the FSC, he has hearings on SEC's overreach. I'm working on an op-ed that will highlight the absurdity of the SEC's unauthorized and unlawful expansion of what constitutes an investment contract under Howey. So he's responding to E. Rob's tweet here with this video. It says, were congressmen able to speak freely? Let me zoom in actually. Were congressmen able to speak freely about Ripple before the SEC lawsuit? In February 2017, Congressman Patrick McHenry stated Ripple was a fantastic example of DLT technology. Nowadays, it seems like they'll be struck down by lightning if they ever muttered the word yep. Let's listen into this really quick.
You have an amalgamation of technology companies like Ripple and others who are trying to integrate it all, but they're existing outside the regulatory regime and needing to partner with banks. What's the solution here? Because the problem is real.
So, people talk about the solution set around distributed ledger, around Ripple. Ripple's a fantastic example of this sort of breakthrough technology, but then they have to reverse engineer how to comply with the existing regime. So this is why we have to have a different orientation with regulation. Now, it's not to say regulation is good or bad, right? We're not going to get in this debate about whether or not regulation is good or bad. It's good if you like the end result. It's bad if you don't like the end result. Simple as that, right? So it's Potter Stewart's defining, if you will, regulation. You'll know how you like it once you see it.
Moving on here, we're going to look at Weezy X's tweet thread here with this video clip. It says, hey, digital asset investor, I think Hester Pierce watches your videos. Here I thought she was one of the good ones. Hashtag ETHgate, hashtag Disguise Wells, hashtag XRP. Let's take a listen into this.
How does one get to be crypto mom? I mean, that's amazing to me.
Well, there are a couple answers to that. One, the way I got the name was that I wrote a dissent way back in 2018 about a Bitcoin exchange traded product that we were denying. And lo and behold, here we are all these years later, and we're still denying Bitcoin exchange traded products. But it was that dissent that got me the name. I will say that now people are suggesting that I should cede that name to Commissioner Pham at the CFTC, which is completely fine. She's one of the new commissioners over there and has taken an interest in crypto. So that would be fine to cede the name. I've always said that I think it's dangerous for people to think of the government as a parent. I mean, I don't mind the name, but the government should not be thought of as a parent.
Shouldn't be thought of as a parent, but Chairman Gensler was asked, does he think he's our daddy? In the way that the SEC is regulating by enforcement, that mean they're acting like parents, like we have no say so, we have no rights in regards of kind of what happens, how our investments are affected and how this space is being affected in general, the entrepreneurs within the space, these blockchain, companies within this space. It's crazy, but clearly she's been watching. If it's not Digital Asset Investors, channel, all the other Twitter slews and XRP community members out there, she's obviously seeing something for her to say that, because that's kind of been the conversation that's been happening. Moving on here, this is from Eleanor Terra. It says the SEC continues to crack down on unregistered ICOs. So coming over here to Cointelegraph, says 2017 ICOs aren't over yet. SEC files suit against Dragonchain and its former founder. The commission said it would be seeking quote unquote permanent injunctions, disgorgement with prejudgment interest, civil penalties against and conduct-based injunctions. God, that was a tongue twister. So long story short, as you can see, the SEC is still going after things that happened in the past. And there's been a lot of talk of how things of recent is going to be regulated within our space, but it's like, as you can see, they're still going back to 2017 ICOs, but they're not going after Ethereum in their ICO, but they're going after all these other ones. So coming over here, it says, this was from the article on August 15th, says Ethereum ICO error, well address transfers 145,000 ETH weeks before the merge. So the merge that's happening, this brought up a lot of concern within the community, as in, like, why are they moving this money? Are they going to dump it after the merge from Ethereum's proof of work to proof of stake? What's going to happen with that? But the overwhelming concept is Ethereum held an ICO. So why aren't they going after, Ethereum in their ICO? Everything that this community and the XRP community has been, presenting in this, well thought out, structured Ethereum free pass timeline, the whole hashtag ETHgate stuff, with Joseph Lubin from Consensus and, and him on video and audio, talking about disguised wells and, creating multiple identities, utilizing, multiple email addresses and having, staggered or, smaller purchases of Ethereum during their ICO, but they're going after Dragonchain and all these other, blockchain companies, but they're not going after Ethereum. So that's kind of been the conversation that's been happening. Even Library had said something. It says SEC just announced that it's suing Dragonchain for conducting an ICO in 2017. Apparently, the 1.0 Dragonchain network was unusable and required a huge upgrade to a 2.0 version that won't be completed until 2023. Wait a minute. ... For the record, we don't want anyone that is not committing fraud to be sued by the government. But if those aren't going to be the rules, it's important that the rules be the same for Ethereum as everyone else. I mean, literally, we're talking about moving from proof of work to proof of stake, talking about, so-called ETH 2.0. Now they're talking about it being consensus layer or whatever the case is. It's kind of like, wow, man, like, do they think we're dumb? Like, what's going on here? Digital asset investor says something as well. He says he's responding to Stefan Huber, where Stefan Huber says, quote, I think I made it more than clear. Every ICO is an illegal securities offering except Ethereum. And he has this picture of William Hinman here. Says this from Digital Asset Investor. The entire crypto industry has been built on two core lies with the help of our government. One, Satoshi is unknown, which that's been debunked and uncovered by the community. Digital Asset Investor had put it up as well, but they were talking about how I forgot the agency. I'm blanking on the agency, but there's this lady that was talking on this this video that had just like some random images and stuff, but talking about like there was a group, I think it was like 3 to 4 people that were Satoshi Nakamoto, and they were talking about sending an agent, to go have a conversation to figure out how this Bitcoin crypto thing worked. So that's been debunked. And then 2, he says Ethereum is sufficiently decentralized and thus not a security. That's the fact, Jack. So, but they're not going after Ethereum, but they held an ICO, but they just sued Ripple. There was no fraud involved, and it's affected XRP. And they're saying that today's XRP is a security when there wasn't even an ICO, but today's XRP is a security. It just literally, it makes no sense. And Tim hits it on the head here, and I tend to talk about Tim, but he literally just goes, hashtag ETHgate. I mean, that's literally what it is, plain as day. It's just a lot of shady stuff. Johnny Dean is responding to Gabriel Sharpiro. It says SEC still going after 2017 ICOs. Litigation over 2020 projects hasn't even really started yet, barely. So we have a long road ahead, and I expect to see the first big DeFi action by SEC before end of September. And then Johnny Deaton says, almost a year ago, I predicted the SEC would sue an exchange or exchanges. I first predicted by the end of the summer, then revised it by the end of this year. 100, right on the target. He's talking about Gabriel here being right on the target. It's crazy, man. This is actually happening. So on some other stuff here, this is Cointelegraph. It says, Coinbase will briefly pause ETH and ERC20 token deposits and withdrawals during ETH merge. The crypto exchange also warned users against scammers offering ETH2 tokens, saying users do not need to take additional action to receive staked ETH prior to merge. So highly recommend you come in here, read this, and make sure that you follow Coinbase's Twitter account here to kind of follow the updates, what's going on with this. From Watcher Guru here, it says, just in the Houston Texans become the first NFL team in history to accept Bitcoin for ticket purchases. So that's another positive there. More recognition within the space, more use case. That's huge. And then this one from Cointelegraph as well says, Daquan breaking silence triggers responses from the community. So Do Kwon had an interview and I wanted to play it on this channel, but I totally blanked on doing it. But I highly recommend you go check out the interview, especially if you've been, following the space in regards of the whole Terra Luna UST crash that happened and all the shady stuff that's been happening behind it. But it says, while Tornado Cash developers are fearing for their lives, Do Kwon is partying, according to podcaster Eric Connor. So it says, despite Kwon's attempt to clear his name in an interview, community members remain unhappy with the Terra CEO. In a tweet, podcaster Eric Connor compared Do Kwon's situation with the Tornado Cash developers who has been arrested. According to Connor, Kwon scammed billions and is still quote-unquote partying, while Tornado Cash developers wrote some code for privacy are now fearing for their lives. Man, a lot of crazy stuff's going on in this space. But I wanted to quickly touch on the market cap here. We're currently sitting at a $1.18 trillion market cap, currently down almost 1%. Bitcoin sitting at 23,878. Ethereum sitting at 1,872, coming down here to XRP, sitting just above 37.5 cents. So there's a little bit of positivity there, and that's we can see the Bitcoin Fear and Greed Index. We're down 1 point. So we're holding pretty strong in this fear range, which is huge. We were in the neutral, I want to say like 2 days ago. So there's a little bit of positivity and optimism within the space, and it's going to be just a waiting game to see what happens. I know we have the Mt. Gox stuff that's coming out in regards of, the people that were kind of forced to hold, hold their Bitcoin that they were waiting on for, was it 8 to 10 years or whatever. Whenever they get that, there's been a lot of conversation like, they're up a crazy amount of percentage. Why not sell and take some profit and change their financial situation? So we could see some, downside if there's a lot of sell pressure in regards to when that happens. So who knows what's going to happen with the space? We're just going to take it day by day, step by step, and kind of just wait and see kind of what happens. But that's the update I have for you. Make sure that, like I always tell you, stay strong out there and be safe.